Welcome to the third of a 5-part overview series on value-added diagnostic reports. The information on these slides and video come from the Ohio Department of Education, SAS EVOS, and Ohio Regional Data Leads. In series number 2, we talked about value-added reports. Today, we're going to go into the next layer of the onion, the diagnostic reports. And these are one of the reports that help you understand what is going on at the building and district level. How do I know I'm talking about a district or building level report? As you notice, there are 5 sets of groups. The lowest is number 1 up to 5, the highest. These are called quintiles, and a quintile report shows up for a school or district diagnostic. When we look at the quintiles, the lowest quintile represents the lowest 20% in the state of Ohio. That means over a 2-year average, the students that fall into this group is the lowest 20% in the state of Ohio. Does not necessarily mean special ed. It does not necessarily mean they only scored limited. It just means on a 2-year average, those students fell in the lowest 20%. The yellow bars in this image represents up to 3 years of previous data. The blue bars represent the previous year or last year's data. And the green means expected growth, which is represented by 0. When we look at the diagnostic reports, you see on the left, you have one standard deviation, which is a solid line, and then you have the dotted whiskers, which represents 2 standard deviations. Sometimes it's too hard or too broad to look at 2 standard deviations. So what we're going to look at is just the solid line or 1 standard deviation. If the solid line is above the solid green line, as you see in these two, that would be dark green, meaning there's evidence that the students exceeded the expected growth. If the solid line touches the expected growth line at any point, that would be represented by light green. And if the students were below the expected growth line by 1 deviation, or the deviation does not touch, that's represented in these discussions as light red, meaning there's significant evidence that the students did not meet the expected growth. Does not mean they did not grow at all. It just means that those students, based on similar students in the state of Ohio, did not keep pace. So if we have an example here, example A and example B. Example A, we see that all the yellow represents up to 3-year average. These solid whiskers represent 1 standard deviation. Blue is last year's data. And if you noticed, last year's data, the solid whisker infers the lowest group 2, group 3, and group 4 have either touched or exceeded the expected growth. If you look at this blue bar, which is group 5, that single solid whisker or 1 standard deviation is below. So there's evidence that these students did not meet the expected growth. So looking at just A, we could say in the past, our students in groups 1 through 4 have struggled to meet the expected group. But our students that are at the highest level met and even edged towards exceeding expected growth. We made some changes, and our groups 1, 2, 3, and 4 all have done better than they have done in the past. There is significant evidence that our lower 2 groups exceeded expected growth, and there's strong evidence that our students in groups 2, 3, and 4 met expected growth. But with all our focuses, our top students did not meet expected growth. So we can have discussions within our teams to understand what has happened here. So go ahead and pause the video for a second and have a discussion about B. Here are some more examples. Go ahead and pause the video and have some discussions about A and B. As you see here, in A, we kind of have this bell curve where we're teaching towards the middle of our students for last year's data because both the lower and top end students did not grow or exceed the expected growth. They met the expected growth, so there's definitely positives, but what can we do to help raise this group? In B, you're going to see kind of a reverse bell curve where we taught or our curriculum supported the edges. Either we were doing a lot of differentiating to help our struggling students and help our high achieving students, which are both great examples of growth, but we missed the middle group of students. So again, these discussions help us understand what is happening with our curriculum when it comes to growth. Where do we find this information? These diagnostic school summary and reports could be found under the comparison reports, the district reports, or the school reports. For more information, please visit my other videos about the dashboard and some of the things that you could do to find information that digs deeper into the diagnostic reports. Thank you for watching the Diagnostic Reports video, number 3 in a series of 5.